It doesn't matter if I thought he was guilty or not.
I was the worst fugitive the world has ever met.
With the jury, find the defendant, Robert Durst, not guilty.
Robert Durst was featured in the HBO docuseries The JINX.
He's been a national obsession.
This case is stranger than fiction.
Why'd you do it? If I tell you what I know, what can you possibly do for me?
Thanks for staying with us on this Monday. I'm Julie Grant. We are waiting for court to resume in the hearing for Robert Durst. We know the jury, who was summoned 14 months ago to start hearing the case, is being brought back in. As soon as things get underway again live, we're going to take you in there. We know that this has been a case where we've seen lots of delays being attempted by the defense. There have been 5 different motions for mistrial. Today, we know that the defense presented this emergency motion for a delay, citing Robert Durst's myriad of health issues. I mean, saying everything from he has bladder cancer to he needs a neurology exam, chronic kidney disease, coronary artery disease, lung disease, spinal disease, kidney stones, all sorts of other things. And ultimately, the judge said, well, according to the law, the case law, specifically citing People versus Avala, I've got to give you an opportunity for a hearing to see if, in fact, he is too ill to go to trial or if this is just another attempt at delaying justice. That's how the state sees it. I want to start by playing a clip from the prosecutor. He was pretty fired up today when hearing the defense making those arguments, essentially saying this is just ridiculous. They've had 14 months to wait out the pandemic and to try to come in at the last second, essentially on the eve of the start of trial and bring this motion. He doesn't want the court to entertain it. Let's take a listen to the state right now.
I want to make a correction to one part of our motion where we said that he was not being treated for the cancer. He is being treated, but he's being ineffectually treated, and that is obvious from the doctor's opinion. He was receiving 1/3 of the treatment for the cancer, and that has been ineffectual, and he is thus effectively not being treated. That is a statement that was made in motion, not in the doctor's opinion, and not in the doctor's letter.
All right, let me.
The doctor says that he is in need of urgent hospitalization. Urgent hospitalization, Your Honor. This is not something that's made up at the last. You know from observation that when we were in trial and when we were in hearing, Mr. Durst frequently had difficulty. We, in fact, obtained an order from you about 2 years ago for him to be examined because of things that happened in the courtroom and his health. They've gotten much worse in the last year. Much worse.
The defense has made mistrial motions from basically the day we started jury selection prior to the pandemic. They have made motions for mistrial, by my count, on at least 5 different and completely independent issues. On Tuesday of last week, they were denied their writ by the Court of Appeal on their latest request, trying to get the court to reverse the court's denial of their mistrial. The Court of Appeal not only denied the writ, the court actually stated, which they did not have to, that the court had not abused its discretion at all and cited the very case that the court cited. In essence, removing this issue not only with respect to the writ, but post-conviction as an appellate issue as well. So 2 days after that, we get this court emergency motion. However, when you go through the court emergency motion, almost all of the material that is included goes back months, if not years, and the defense has done nothing.
We have 2 great guests on our legal panel today. Let me bring them back in. Municipal Court Judge Phyllis Collins and former district attorney with the 18th Judicial Circuit in Colorado, George Brockler. George, I want to start with you, please, and ask you to talk to our viewers about something that they don't get to see, that I know you're quite familiar with, having tried so many different criminal cases. And that is the preparation that goes into having everything lined up when you're ready to go to trial. And what this prosecutor is experiencing behind the scenes, what our viewers don't get to see, all of the different conversations that are had and everything that happens to get to this point today when the jury's being brought back in to continue hearing the case.
Yeah, the moving pieces within moving pieces within moving pieces is very hard to describe to someone who has not been part of this, especially a size of this notoriety, complexity, the length. The fact that you have so many people that are touching this that have put their lives on hold. I mean, you have people that would love to get out of town. They would love to pursue training for their jobs. They'd love to go take care of a loved one, and they've been told by this prosecution team for a long time now, block off this part of your existence and dedicate it towards this justice-seeking process. And at the last minute to have someone come in and say, maybe not right now, maybe we should just delay it a little bit up to a year or two for dialysis or whatnot, that's very, very troubling. It's also the prosecution staff themselves. They have scheduled other folks to handle all the myriad other responsibilities they have. I don't know anybody who is dedicated to a single case. Personally, right now, we're going through this. We're about to start a STEM school mass shooting case starting next week, and I can't tell you how many weeks we have done nothing but to prepare for this massive case. I presume it's the same for the Durst team.
Oh, without a doubt, without a doubt. And yeah, I mean, my gosh, we're grateful you're lending us your time because hours upon hours go into that, and we're glad to have you on the program today. Judge, quickly before we have to go to break, we know he wants bond too. If ultimately Durst is successful and getting his wish and getting this delay, he wants to be out of jail. If you were presiding over this one, any chance you would give him a bond?
Absolutely not, Julie. He's making a competency argument here for the continuance, and if it was a mental competency issue, what would happen is during the time you were trying to restore competency, the defendant would be in a hospital, a state hospital, while they attempt to get him back to competency. So that's what should happen here. He should be in a hospital, still in custody though. And what I would recommend to his lawyers is to say, hey, look, we'll pay for it if they want him to get better medical care. Because as you know, when you're in custody, the state has to pay for that medical care.
Exactly. Judge Phyllis Collins, thank you so much. You're going to stay with us. George Brockler, we have to say goodbye to you. We're going to let you continue with the trial prep. For those wondering, you did such a fine job in your office as DA. They've kept you on as a special prosecutor, and we thank you for being with us today. We'll be right back.